That is the cue. We are rocking. We're rolling. This is episode. I didn't write it down. It is
more than one.
More than one. Less than 1,000. 518 for the one person that cares about that, which is probably me.
It's the numerologist in you that has come to life.
So episode 518. But the important part is we're at Acme Comedy Company, and I'm talking to Jackie Kashian.
Hello and welcome to Talking to Jackie Kashian.
Hello and welcome to Talking.
Where's that Acme sign? It used to be there. It used to be there. What happened to that sign?
It wasn't probably here the last time you were here. It's been gone for a little bit.
So sad. Should I invest? Should we start a GoFundMe? We need a new sign.
You should talk to Lewis about that. I think they got a whole philosophy on that
He's got a plan. He always does.
I don't think you'll ever see it again. I think that's the plan.
He's decided to bury it in some sort of, what are those time capsules? And he'll dig it back up at another number that's very important to the Chinese people.
Exactly.
You remember? It's always interesting, numerology. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I'm just going to jump right into it.
Go for it.
When I first moved to Los Angeles, I was asked how old I was at one point, and someone had told me, it was, you know what it was? It was Tom Hansen's wife, Holly Henson, who used to do stand-up comedy, and she has passed away since, but
I call her Scott Hansen's sister-in-law.
Do you call her Scott Hansen's sister-in-law?
No, I've never done that.
You know what she wanted to be called? Neither of those, and just Holly Henson's stand-up comic. And she told me that I should lie about my age when I moved to Los Angeles, and turns out I'm not very good at math, and the first people I lied to were numerologists. And so they were like, so when did you graduate from high school? Oh, what time of day were you born? All of these things. And finally, like the third question in, this was a couple, man, woman, hetero couple. Woman says to me, wait, it would have been, and I said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm lying. I'm 33 years old. It's okay. Anyway, so.
Do you remember the age you told them?
I believe I told him I was 28.
28.
Yeah, I just did. I shaved. I went into my 20s from my early 30s. Here I am in my 60s, 70s, and not true. But
I was going to say, no.
No. I am wearing this hat because you're wearing your Vikings hat, and I didn't realize my new merch, hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Is the color of the Vikings, which I didn't realize. And I was like, oh, this should sell. Not realizing that it's 80 degrees in Minnesota and nobody wants to think about the time when they're going to need a knit hat.
Along those lines, so like the Minnesota State Fair was going on a few weeks ago, and there's a display selling everything, eating everything, selling everything, including like really warm clothes. Like get your socks made out of llama and stuff like that. It's like, I'm dying of sweat here. I'm not buying warm socks.
And I don't want to think about February. I don't even want to think about October, which is when it all begins.
Yes. And you escaped from it and you live happily.
I know. I did escape from it, but I do like to come back. Sometimes Lewis will book me in the middle of the winter, and that's kind of fun for me because it's nice to visit the winter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dig out the boots that you haven't had to buy a new pair for decades.
I know. I remember when I moved to LA, I gave my winter boots to my sister, and I regretted it when the next time he booked me was in the middle of the winter. And I was like, oh, wait. And she's like, oh, they're mine now. Okay.
She's kept yours and gave you her old ones.
It's weird that we still wear the same size shoe. Aww. What are we, children? And we're only a year and a half apart. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're let's see, you've been in town a few days now.
I came in on Monday. Greg Coleman just played through.
Yes.
We did a weird panel at Hamlin University with Neil Justin.
Yeah, I saw
about the nature of free speech and cancel culture, and also with Tiffany Norton, but the three of us laughing at cancel culture because, of course, no one's canceled. Where are the canceled comics? Touring. Yes.
Yeah. Putting new material out.
Right. Constantly making money hand over fist. I believe Chappelle is filling stadiums this weekend, or an arena, or just a very large theater. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's working out for Dave. And Dave, Dave Chappelle's, his stuff on race and family and stuff like that is unparalleled. It's a delight. It's incisive. It's so smart. It's so good. And his weird, I'm going to pick on trans high schoolers, is such a weird hill to die on. Like, what do you, how can it, someone who's hurt you. It's my J.K. Rowling thing too. Like I've met more trans people in the last probably 6 years than I've ever met in my life, but they've probably always been there.
Sure.
But and when I say I've met more, 4. Hi. It can't possibly. Who? What is the where? How?
They're everywhere, Jackie. They're turning all of us into whatever. Yes.
Right. They're turning all of us into people who have gender.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't.
Run and hide.
I don't.
Run and hide.
I got a new poop joke. Oh, that's the other thing. I'm just going to talk for an hour. It's going to be great. Plug and play, Cation. So,
and you're on.
And I'm on. I have a new joke. And it is regarding the bathroom. I've never had a bathroom joke before, to my knowledge, and it's very exciting, but it comes right on the heels of Neil Justin, twice in the Strib this week, telling people, oh, you people aren't smart enough to come and see this. And you're like, oh my God, it's attainable goal. Can you, have you ever read those Dan Frontier books? You're fine. You're doing great, you guys. And you got the basic 26 letters and...
I wanted to tell you that I heard your full set last night. Not only did I laugh many, many times, I thought about things, but never did my head hurt.
Right. There was no problems with your noggin. It didn't make your head hurt.
No, I didn't think I was not smart enough or that you were too smart.
Right. There was absolutely nothing happening. I know that some people like to, maybe I'm that cool band that only you want to like. Neil Justin, who I love dearly, but I have to say,
interesting.
I am not an indie band. I am the golden retriever of stand-up comedy, an attainable goal for anyone who wants to see the bit. And I'm, someone the other day said that I was super liberal, and I was like, I don't know what you mean by that word. If you think that...
Not on stage.
Not on stage, it's just normal.
Yeah.
And
no.
off stage, if is this I don't think this is liberal. Everyone should get to live indoors. Does that feel like I'm taking a stand? I just
not
feel
to
like
me.
Not right. It just seems. I suppose people would be like, "Yeah, but I don't want to pay for it." I'm like, "No, you're not. We would all pay. It would just be a small amount of money from everyone. It's not that big of a fucking deal." Anyway, so I
think
guess
the problem with that is people will hear you have an opinion on anything, and then they can then attach that. Yeah, but here's the thing that I agree with and you don't that makes that not okay.
Actually, what you're saying, and I'm like,
Right.
if you actually me, you will be blocked, my friends.
Yes.
If you say something to me online that I in real life would walk away from you, guess what? You're blocked. I don't need to. No,
Have
it's
you had
my
people
page.
come up to you and go like, "Hey, you blocked me"?
I've never had that.
Never.
I've had some people email me and say, "Hey, you blocked me.
Okay.
I just want to say I was kidding, or I didn't mean it, or I'm sad that you blocked me." And then I will have I'll give them one more. I'll email it with you, and I'll give you another shot. I had one woman. She was super sad that I was working for someone. Oh, I know. He was working for someone who wasn't pro-choice. And I don't know that to be true, but she said he's a forced birth anti-abortion guy.
Okay.
And I was like, have you ever held a job? Who are you hoping to work for if it's your mom? I have to work for people that I don't agree with all the time. Who's your boss that you love so much and agree with on absolutely every subject? And so I was like, if you could not be mean to me, that'd be great. And she was like, oh, I'm being mean to you. And I said, and we are done. And it's been great. I'm psyched you've been a fan for 20 years, but it doesn't have to continue if you think that me asking for you to stop being mean to me.
It's interesting that someone can be a fan and have that in them. But it's just we're all unique, I guess.
Turns out we're all alive.
Turns out we're all special in our own way.
I did hear. Well, there was a young person because I believe them to be a them. They're a they them, and they claim to be a they them and said I'm a they them until they come up with something that makes me even more unique and interesting. And I laughed so hard because of the words of essentially this young woman who is a they them.
Yeah. Wow.
I was like, good for you, lady, for knowing that you're a they them. But you can, the gender is just gender.
I want to know, I do want to ask you something about this talk you did at Hamlin, right?
Yeah.
Was there a Q&A like with the students?
There
What
was
were
some
they
students
so
and
interested
faculty,
in?
and it was live streamed, and people streamed in. And
what was the main?
well, and it was a whole weekend or a whole week of discussions about free speech, immigration, ethnicity, race, comedy was one of the panels.
I see.
And so it was us three comics and Neil Justin, who covers comedy for the Strib.
Yep.
And yeah, and so he wanted to know, like, he just wanted to know if and the great thing about stand-up comics, and everyone should grain of salt whenever you ask a comic something, we don't have any information, always have an opinion. Oh, we'll riff on it for days. And we did. And Craig and I afterwards were saying, oh, we could have gone for another hour about nothing, about literally just opinion.
Sure. Interesting. Yeah, people always say, like, all the college kids, they're the ones that want to cancel everybody, right?
Well, he did ask that too. He said, is it hard to do colleges when you're being censored or whatever? And I was like, you're always sort of being censored, right? Like, not comedy clubs are the most open, right? And people who come to see comedy, especially a place like stand-up, like Acme, where the stand-up has been curated for 35 years, right? Where you're like, part of, there's so many answers to this fucking question. First of all, when you go and see stand-up comedy, please YouTube, Google the comic you're going to see. You would absolutely never go see a band and hope that they were heavy metal.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's ska, right? And then you're like, but I was unhappy. And so, but I will say that people who do come to comedy clubs, like just walk in off the street, they're like, I want to see comedy. And they sit down and they see my silly, smart, noggin hurting comedy, which new poop joke. And or they're seeing, Chad Daniels, or they're seeing Pete Lee or Tracy Ashley, or anybody who's like, that's you could get somebody who's gay up here and you didn't know. You could get someone who's very conservative and you didn't know. Like Slagle, giant button pusher. People walk in off the street. They don't know they're seeing Slagle. And they have a good time. And they go, I didn't like that. I liked that. I didn't like that. I like that. People do that to all of us, right? So that's partly, that's the most open situation, a comedy club. And then if you do a college or you do a corporate, there are rules.
Yeah.
And even if, like, I open for Brian Regan. And his audiences, there's consistently a 9-year-old in the second row. And and this is in every contract I do when I do privates, that I will do whatever you want. You don't want me to swear? I will not swear. You don't want me to talk about politics or sex? All of my politics and sex are more socio-political and married sex. How dirty is that going to be? And so,
I heard your new joke last night. Maybe real dirty. Jackie.
The poop joke is dirty, you guys.
Oh my God.
I've only done it 3 times, you guys.
My jaw dropped.
It was amazing.
Oh my God.
It's a good one.
All right.
It's a closer. So I don't know if it'll always work, but we're going to give it a shot. Because you know how sometimes with like a new joke that pops so hard the first 3 or 4 times you do it, and then all of a sudden you'll get into this weird plateau where you're like, why isn't that working anymore? Did I change the timing? What did I do? And so, but like with colleges, they're just like, hey, they don't want to hear your take on Indonesian aid from UNICEF. So don't do it. And you're like, okay, for the most part, you don't even, if you've been booked by these things, you don't have anything and you're aware of it.
Yeah.
So when someone like Seinfeld talks about colleges, that guy hasn't done colleges in 40 years.
I mean, that's a completely out of touch opinion. Yeah.
But I remember the year that Pete Lee, I think he booked 96 colleges. at least $3,000 a pop, by the way. Make Pete Lee buy you lunch. But he knew exactly who he was performing for. And so, and his stuff can be, like he does some stuff where it's a little bit, as edgy as Pete Lee does not consider himself to be. He could possibly hurt someone's feelings with a crack about somebody being fat or stupid or short, but that's as bad as it's going to get. Yeah. And with corporate stuff, I did do, again, I'm just going to keep talking until you have another question. I did a show in Aspen, Colorado with, what the heck was that guy's name? Jamie something. And Augie Smith and myself. It was like a Aspen Chamber of Commerce comedy night special.
Okay.
So it was just, 600 or 1,200 people theater, very beautiful at their opera house. Richie Rich, right? Aspen, Colorado. Just a pile of, everybody driving some sort of Lexus SUV that they don't want you to call a station wagon. And the Jamie guy got up and he was like, capitalist shitbags, and just like, pardon my language, I don't even know. But point.
Yep.
And he did not get any laughs. And it was very sad, and nobody was happy.
Yeah.
And Augie Smith went after him, and he did his capitalist shitbag set and killed. Because as the simplistic answer to all of this censorship business is that if it's funny enough, it's fine.
Yeah.
And that's simplistic and possibly too simple, because there's nuance and there's problems and there's intent and there's all these things. But in the end, it is, how funny is it?
Absolutely. Who? Tell people who you brought along with you this week.
Oh, right. I brought my own.
Because it's not a normal Acme feature and opener.
This is right. I was like, because I can't tell you how many people know people in Minneapolis and want to come and stay with their aunt and open and meet and get to perform for these crowds. So, it's a journey of several comics, and I went in order. Everyone should know. So initially I was just going to bring my friend who has friends here that she was going to hang out with and get to meet Lewis and get to perform for the great crowds. And these are all people who close. These are all people who headline on the road, other rooms, and would like to get in, obviously. So Carmen Morales was just going to feature for me. And then I was going to go local MC.
Okay.
Carmen canceled. So I asked my friend, because she got a headline week, Anna Valenzuela, if she wanted to come feature, and she said yes. And then Carmen's headline week got canceled. And I said, well, would you want to come and split the feature spot, which is annoying, but you would flip-flop MC feature? And Carmen says, yes. And I asked Anna first, obviously, because Anna will have to give up and also be willing to MC some nights as well. And Anna said yes. And then, so we had that set up. And then Carmen got a new headline week.
What the hell is going on here?
Yes, Carmen, very popular. Carmen Morales, by the way, HBO special. Take a look at it. Carmen Morales. Anna Valenzuela doesn't have any fancy credits yet. Any minute now. Okay, so then the other people who had asked to feature for me, I gave them the opportunity. Next up, Mary Jo Peel. Mystery Science Theater 3000, lives here.
Yeah.
She's not a great candidate for emceeing, because of the kind of stand-up she does. It's hard to be real rah-rah. And I asked her, and she said, no, I'll feature for you next time. And I was like, fair enough. And then I asked Brian Kiley, who's one of the writers for Conan for a million years and has done the show. And Brian Kiley, also not a huge candidate because he's a one-liner guy. And but he was like, yeah, no, that's fine. I'm in town. Anyway, so I would love to do it and love to meet everybody and do the crowds. And he had such a good time last night. So he is now currently, Brian Kiley and Anna Valenzuela will be flip-flopping, doing that. And
wow.
After them, it was Alice Wetterland, who also is living or visiting back in town. She has an aunt. And then Pearl Rose, who I met on the road, and she lives here. And then there was somebody else. And then there's some people that I love who are here. Like, who wouldn't want Brandy Brown to feature for me?
Right.
And then, but it has to go in an order of who asked.
Oh, my goodness.
And then eventually I get tired and I just want Lewis to book it.
I mean, there's got to be something to that, right? Just
There's very much something to that.
let me show up and do my thing, right?
I know everyone who goes up before me will, and it's always fun with the MCs and features that Lewis is curating, essentially is supporting, because those guys have the tightest 1530s in the world, and then you have to follow that, and with the local references, it's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
super fun.
I saw that you went through one of my worst nightmares a month or so ago, losing your phone temporarily.
I did lose my phone temporarily, and there was some mocking because the week before I had lost my laptop, and I had also had a problem with a set of keys in a rental car.
Uh-oh.
The rental car thing was not my fault. The laptop was my fault. The phone was my fault. The fact that too many people were giving me guff about it is their fault.
Damn right.
I am human. You can lay off, but it is my fault. The keys. What happened is I went and saw a movie with my husband, and we had a rental car in Milwaukee. I was visiting my dad, and it was here. Who cares? I turn around from going to the bathroom after the movie. The rental car keys fall out of my pocket into the toilet here in Minnesota, and automatic flushing, the strongest toilet in the whole wide world. That's not my new poop joke. And and they take them away. 11 o'clock at night.
This happened.
Yeah, here.
Oh my God.
In the suburbs of Minneapolis.
Did you scream?
I was first of all, I was shocked, and then I was furious. And Andy was like, "The reason you're mad is because it's funny. It's like a Hangover 3 AI generated comedy bit." And I was like, "You're right. It is funny." And then, but what I learned that night, because I said to him, so I call the rental car company, and I'm like, "This happened." They laughed at me.
Yeah.
They said, "Well, we'll send somebody to open the car and tow the car away and drive you back to your hotel." And I was like, "Okay." And I hang up and I turn to Andy and I'm like, "We have 3 hours ahead of us." And he goes, "Okay." And I said, "Do you want to just take a lift back to the hotel and I'll just be here?" At 11 o'clock at night in the suburbs of Minnesota. And he goes, "Couple of things that you may not know is that you don't abandon your wife in the middle of nowhere at 11 o'clock at night."
Good man.
He said, "If it's anything I've learned from D&D over these last 50 years, it's you never split the party."
Of course
And
not.
he said, and there was a pause, and he goes, "And here's something else you should probably know. You don't leave your husband in the middle of nowhere." And he said, "We're in this together."
Not without
And
a bow and quiver, at least.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm going to need a wizard. And so we waited an hour and a half, and then I called AAA, and AAA came, opened the car in 12 seconds, gave me my sweater that was in the car, and then locked the car up again because they couldn't tow it either. Because once the keys are gone, it's like a project to tow it away. And because of how everything's locked now.
Sure.
And
tires won't move or some nonsense.
Yeah,
probably.
you gotta have a tow truck that'll essentially lift it up and whatever. And then we called a lift and went home. And eventually the credit card company or the rental car company fixed it, and it was fine. And then 2 days later, I'm in Milwaukee visiting my dad, and I leave my laptop sitting on top of my car and drive away. Very sad. Never found it. Didn't even find the pieces.
No.
Yeah. Crazy talk.
Oh my God.
Right? That was weird, right? Didn't even find the pieces.
What did you do about any possible, what if this thing isn't damaged and somebody's digging into my computer stuff?
Well, I have a find your, device kind of thing.
Sure.
So the last time it was on, you guys, a Panera in Milwaukee. It had shitty Wi-Fi. I decided to go somewhere else. It turns out I should have just sucked it up and used their Wi-Fi. Anyway, I then had, so that was like a month and a half ago. And then like 2 weeks ago, I was doing a benefit against cancer. Everybody's hilarious. It was a cancer benefit, but it wasn't for cancer. Gilda's Club, Nashville. I go to the airport to fly away, and I leave my cell phone in the lift. And moments later, I realize, and my lift guy's gone. And so I get on my new laptop, hello, and I email Lyft, and and I leave my email address, and the Lyft guy emails me back, and he's like, I am currently at the dentist. I could be there in about a half an hour. And I said, my flight will leave, but thank you for your effort. And then I said, if you go, here's my address that I'm going to be at. Will you FedEx it to me tomorrow? And he goes, I will be at FedEx in a half an hour. And so he FedExed it to me, and Lyft charged me the $120 for FedEx, and then $100 for FedEx and $20 for the guy. But I was like, what is your Venmo? Because from Lyft, he's going to get what, $11?
Right.
And so I sent him $100.
I saw. Oh, okay.
And then I posted his Venmo handle.
I think that's awesome. I saw
and
that
he
you did
got
that.
another $200 from various fans.
Okay,
Yeah.
you found out it was $200.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So he ended up getting like $300. And if you drive Lyft for a living, $300 will change your life.
Yeah.
That'll make it won't change your life, but it'll make a difference.
Yeah, that's a big shift right there.
That's a genuine thank you very much for a day and a half of work, you know? So.
Oh, I love that you did that. That is fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic.
He was really nice of him to get on it like that fast.
So yeah, that is awesome. A few weeks ago, Brian Miller was on the podcast.
Brian Miller.
One of my favorites, of course.
He is
and
a
we're
gem.
just, we're shooting the breeze, going back and forth. And then right towards the end of the podcast, I brought something up. We never even got to what I was getting to, which I think is really funny. And that's fine, because it was all to get him to talk. And he said some things about the Lego movie and compared it with some capitalism. And I'm pretty sure there's no posts from Acme that have never got so much attention.
Really?
Yes. Like, people were
Did
triggered.
It go viral?
I mean, mini viral, I would say. It got
as viral as this, as a podcast can get that isn't Rogan.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean,
What did he
there was over
say?
10,000 plays and, hundreds of likes. And he was just saying that he just basically was like, I asked him, I said, did you have more fun when he did movie reviews? Was it more fun to review something that he liked or something that he didn't like? And he said,
why don't you just underhand
right,
and then
Yep.
Yes.
So he went, well, here's one that I didn't get to do about something I didn't like, and he just went off about the capitalism and the Lego movie. And
I didn't see the original Lego movie?
yes, from 10 years ago or something.
Yeah. With Will Ferrell, and it turned into a very sweet dad-son movie.
Yeah, I guess. I think I
Spoiler
only saw it once.
alert.
Spoiler alert. It really set people off. And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe sitting back and watching like people just, Lego fans sharing it. Like, who is this guy? And anyway, so do you have anything that people love that you want to shit on and that we can
Let me shit on something.
Let me see. Harry Potter? No, you like Harry Potter.
I did. I recently.
Barbie? How about Barbie? Can you shit on Barbie?
I did a show. Both of those, you're only going to get support from this one. What you will find out is I recently did a podcast called Gutting the Sacred Cow. 2 comics out of New York, right? Or New Jersey or something like that. And I think one of those guys is actually doing an upcoming Dork Forest. They were like, pick a movie that
Perfect.
everyone loves, that made a lot of money or is critically acclaimed, that you did not like. And so I picked The Godfather. And the world lost its tiny lizard mind. Guess what? The Godfather wasn't made for me. It can't possibly matter. Why do I? And here was the sad part of it. I didn't realize that. First of all, that's a trap. You go in because I'm supposed to defend my dislike of it.
Right.
And I didn't. Here's the thing. I'm not saying it wasn't well made. And it isn't a very beautiful movie, and it isn't super quotable. I'm also saying that it's been hacked within an inch of its life. And so when I finally saw it, I was like, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And my father was, for a short time, a bagman for a bookie in Milwaukee. Not the Corleones. This is not a Soprano doesn't make, because it's the Milwaukee mob. So we're talking the DeSalvos or Frank Pulaski, whatever. But But it wasn't, so it was, so the fact, but one of the things when I said that, the guys were like, oh, you should watch it again. And I said, what part of I didn't enjoy it do you not understand? So I just essentially Wikipedia'd it and just looked at the beats and then went with that. But there was some backlash to the fact that I was clearly bitches, man. They just don't get it. And you're like, all right.
I have a profound announcement to make.
Okay.
I've never seen The Godfather.
See, I never saw Godfather 2, which is supposed to be better. Do you know why?
Never seen it.
I watched the end of The Godfather and thought, this relationship's never going to work out. And you've never
seen him. I don't even really care.
Well, you can't care. There's a window. And the thing is some people don't understand that, but I would understand it. Like some people haven't read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. If you didn't read it between the ages of 13 and 20, you're probably not going to like it.
Yeah.
Because it is a celebration of sarcasm. And once you're about 20, you love sarcasm when you're a teen. It's your favorite thing ever. It's your first introduction to humor.
Yeah.
And so that might actually be earlier now, right? It might be 9. But I would say
4.
And so yeah, but I wouldn't, if someone said, I don't like Lord of the Rings. People don't like the books.
Right.
Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, don't sweat it. I don't care. I have never been able to finish the Iliad. So sad, too bad. Whatever. I like the Odyssey. Enjoyed the Aeneid. The Iliad, it's a little dire for me. It's just a little slow. I get it. All right.
The Iliad. Is there anything else we should be mentioning? Let me look at this real quick here.
I got a new. Did you see my new special? Looking back.
Yes, let's talk about that real quick. You have yes. 10-minute special.
10-minute special.
Jackie has a tiny special, and does that mean it was filmed on a there's a tiny screen, or is it because the length of the special? I say both.
Both. It was both because it is essentially. And I didn't want it to be a special. I just, you know how everyone needs content? I was like, well, here's a way that I could do some jokes that hasn't been done. So, let's do these jokes. And then my buddy Kyle Clark, who's the producer of the Jackie and Laurie Show, he was like, I would like to produce this. And so he wanted it to be a 3-car shoot. It's essentially... he made it a bigger deal than it was, but it was everything he did made it funnier. So it was fine. And what it is me telling the car jokes I can remember from the last 10 years into the back ass camera of a Mazda 6 in reverse. I hired someone to put their foot on the brake, so it is not a snuff film. So it's just 10 minutes. 10 minutes of me telling jokes like this into the camera. And so if you go to JackieKashian.com, it is free to watch.
It's funny. It's worth the 10 minutes, God.
It's worth the 10 minutes. And some of the minutes are not even, some of it, Kyle decided would be like a documentary.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes. About halfway through is a little behind the scenes stuff.
Couldn't be funnier. But it's called Looking Back. And it's just 10 minutes of car jokes. And then I have a new driving chunk that's brand new that kind of came out of that. Because I was like, what about car jokes that you're doing here? And so I've got some. I
heard some of that last night. That's gonna.
There's something there.
Yep, absolutely.
It's gonna get tighter as the week goes.
I want to say that in the jokes in the Looking Back special.
Yes.
Let's see. There's a thing in there where you talk about giving your old car to a valet and having to give them special directions.
The valet joke.
So freaking funny.
That's the 90s. Oh, yeah. I went deep into the vault, you guys. You can see my published works. That's also on the Bread album. Anyway, great joke. Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Really like that one. Let's see. Still doing the podcast, obviously, because I listen. Jackie and Laurie Show.
Jackie and Laurie Show talking about stand-up with Laurie Kilmartin.
Yeah, you guys, we're pretty much out of time here, but I'm going to send people to listen to you two talk about Hassan Minhaj and that whole thing earlier this week.
Sure.
We didn't get to it. We don't have to get to it. You guys talked about that.
Fine.
I thought it was very interesting.
Hassan, it's a weird thing that he did. I'll just say this. It's not Louis C.K. level. It's more Steve Ranazizi level. Hero of 9/11.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have a life to actually mine. It's just too bad.
Yeah.
Because he's He's actually super handsome too. Why would he lie? He's so cute.
Handsome people don't need to do that.
Exactly.
I do want to say one thing about that. I was shocked that I had the local news on the other morning, and that came up as a story.
All right.
A comedian, he's fabricating stories. That's national.
Right.
Local?
Well,
national news that's making local telecasts?
But
that was very surprising.
And you should know that it's the difference between like I do a joke about how my mother-in-law has $2 bills. The actual amount of $2 bills she had was $2,000, and I changed it to $3,000 because it worked better literally.
I can't. This is
right. But here's
you're
the
breaking
scoop.
my heart right now.
Right, exactly. But it's not the same as telling someone that you got anthrax sent to you. It's because everybody wow. You guys, it's not going to hurt your noggin to come see me, is what I'm saying. Come on out.
Oh, no. You're the best.
Thanks.